Hello, 40Kers, Age of Sigmars, Warhammerers, gamers. What is up, my people? I know I'm late. I'm a couple minutes late. Whatever. It happens. Life comes at you fast. You gotta be ready to dodge. Dodge. My brother. Hey there, Mr. Mythos. My fellow brother. So, the last few days until Leviathan. Dun, dun, dun. Are we psyched? I'm psyched. I'm psyched. And I'm so psyched. I have been painting the hell out of Space Wolves for the last week. I went into my box of shame and I dug up some stuff I had in there. So we got a Razorback, perfect for delivering a set of long fangs. They're basically all the same. I did a pretty close job on making them to get together. Hello, Tina, my love. And then, as I was digging things out, we also, with the new edition, had to get some Terminators up and going. So, and got a new squad of Skyclaws that have gotten their base coat, their wash, their secondary coat, and about to start their dry brushing stage with the slightly lighter color of Fog Gray, which is also known as Fenrisian Gray. It's the same gray. Skynox, how goes it? Yeah, so, I mean, that's what I've been doing. I've been just kind of going crazy. That's a week worth of painting. 2 squads fully done, a vehicle fully done, working on bases for another squad, trying to just knock out some wolves. Ooh, Black Templars are spicy right now. Very spicy. And I've seen some really nice takes on them. I mean, Black Templar being a thing, if you just go with the plain black, I mean, it can be cool, but you got to do it well. But there's some... Who took my dice? Good to see you, buddy. Puppets War Desolators for 10th. Oh, Puppets War. Yeah, I'm back to the wolves. And then the next project after I'm done painting these guys here, I have one more group of Terminators that I got to do up. I'm doing a melee, mostly melee set of Wolfguard. And then I'm going to be pulling down the box with all the pro-painted, award-winning painted Space Wolves I have. And I'm going to be doing work on their bases because although the models are beautiful, the bases are kind of They're not going to get my ice base like I've done with most of my wolves. They're going to get the tundra basing that my other 30K Marines have had because I don't want to actually pull them off their bases and redo everything. I'm just going to basically kind of pull off the couple of weirdly colored tufts he put on. He put on these bright orange and yellow tufts that just really don't look right in my army. So I'm going to pull those off, and I'm going to put a little bit of mud on top of what he's got on there, or if it's the right color, I might just put some glossing effect to make it look muddy. Then drop some snow and some winter tufts. Put a little bit of snow in the winter tufts, and we'd be good. Yeah, I mean that's the thing. The Wolf Guard, I'm looking at the Wolf Guard, and I'm just like, I mean, jump pack Wolf Guard are not going to be a thing anymore. They're just for their points. I'd rather just take Sky Claws. I put together a tentative list earlier today, and I realized you look at the points; they're much lower. But they're really not, because you can now take a lot more characters. And one of the Wolves' biggest strengths, honestly and truly, probably the biggest strength of the Wolves, is the fact that all of their characters are really, really damn good. And they all give really good buffs. I mean, Ragnar gives his unit that he attaches to advance and charge. You got to put him with whoever has the best melee weapon. So I'm throwing him in with a group of Blade Guard. I mean, it's really the best melee weapons that aren't Terminators that he can attach to, because he can't attach Terminators. So I'm looking at Terminators, and I think I'm going to throw, right now it looks like, I'm going to throw a Chaplain in Terminator armor, basically a Wolf Priest in Terminator armor with them, because what he does for them is gross. And then the other group, I'm going to put Arjak, because he's just, again, the buffs he gives. Yeah, I mean, it's really, really solid. The crazy thing is that I'm looking at pulling a couple things out, putting a third squad of Terminators in there, and putting the Chapter Master not in the Santa Sleigh, although the Santa Sleigh with Wolves is really good. Putting him with the group of Terminators is gross too, because he lets him go, hey, let's just re-roll everything and get a... Oh, it's just wrong. There's so much goodness. Like, the Wolves' strength has from the very beginning always been characters, and it really shines. I'm looking at Ulrich the Slayer and throwing him with a squad of 10 Blood Claws, because Blood Claws are really good now. Very cheap, very good. 140 for 10 of them. You can't take 5s anymore, but you take 10 and you get 140 of them. And then he jumps along with them and goes, how about you all get to re-roll 1s, and you already get to re-roll your charges, so we're going to give you anti-monster and anti-vehicle re-up on all of your melee weapons. Say what? Yes. So Blood Claws suddenly become 10 men of, I'm taking 20 attacks, hitting on 3s, re-rolling 1s, and we're going to rip anything big into pieces. Into absolute pieces. For cheap. So, yeah, it's just crazy the way that the Wolves buffs stack up. So it's a matter of, okay, where are my best buffs, and what can they stack up with, and what can I put them in? I'm right now looking at it. It's just wrong. I mean, I'm looking at right now having 3 chaplains, having a chaplain in Terminator armor, a chaplain in jump pack, leading these guys, and then then having Ulrich leading a 10-man squad of Blood Claws. It's just like, this is dumb. There's all these great buffs that stack up. And then, I mean, I had to cut things. I was like, I originally had Bjorn the Fell-Handed in there, because he's actually stupidly good for what he does to your army. He's like, man, I don't like using that stratagem. For the rest of the game, it costs you 1 more to cast it every time. Oh, and I take half damage from everything. Half damage. Hero Hammer is back, and guess what? We're the Space Wolves. Nobody does Hero Hammer like the Space Wolves. I mean, it's just you gotta go. I mean, I was looking at taking a Phobos Lieutenant and throwing it with a Wolves of Morkai or a Hounds of Morkai because they're actually really good with all the psychic crap that's gonna be going around. They're like, no, how about no? Oh, and no. But here we are. Deal with us. Uh, kind of dumb, kind of good, kind of dumb. So, and the problem is they're not even really top tier army, but they look good to me and they're gonna be fun, and I don't care. I'm gonna play competitively, but I'm gonna focus on I'm gonna play my army and I'm gonna play whatever looks fun to play. If I decide that I'm gonna go, we're gonna have the machines, we're gonna have the March of the Ancients going on. If I decide that we're going to have the March of the Ancients going on, we're going to have the March of the Ancients. I'm going to put out, a Ballistus and three, I mean, just all the dreads, just Bjorn and all of his dread brothers, and just kind of go, we're here to make your day bad. Their expansion. Oh, the Grey Hunters. Oh my gosh, they're a 5-man troop. First off, they come in fives. You can attach a leader to them. You can attach, like, some of the wolves, really good leaders can get into that unit very easily. They have a fallback and shoot, they have a fallback and charge, and you can stick a special weapon in them. So they're better than tacticals because they can actually put they're better than tacticals because they get chain swords, which give them a better than 401 melee profile. But they also get the ability to do all the stuff tacticals do with a special weapon. They can't take a heavy weapon, but you can also stick a power fist on their leader and then attach for 30 points a wolf guard leader on them that can put something really huge in there too. Yeah, so they're like tacticals. They're very much like tacticals. The difference is they actually have bolt guns with chain swords. So I mean they're really good and they're cheap. They're freaking cheap. Um, with a 2 OC. I mean, the problem is everything looks good. You just have to figure out what do you have points for and what do you, there's it's all about what do you have points for and what do you want to be able to do. So you got to look at that secondary deck. Luckily, I've been looking at it. I have a secondary deck that I've been paging through already. Plus, if you're on Reddit, somebody actually put out a document that's basically everything's nicely typed up. If you need it, you know me, hit me up in DMs and I'll throw you a link to it. Because it's another Google document that's out there going, hey, here we go. I found a generator earlier today that I've passed on to some people in the community where it's like, hey, plug in your units, plug in your type of units and then your faction and all that stuff, and it does your points for you. I mean, it doesn't take much now that you don't pay for gear. You have to keep track of your gear. But to get the basic points down and then go, okay, these are guys I'm taking. Now what configuration of them I'm taking? It's beautiful. It's really there are things I'm annoyed by. I will be the first to admit. I will be the very first to admit there are things I am annoyed by. I don't like not being able to take filling numbers. Well, I can take 5. I have a couple points here. I can take 2 more dudes and stick them here. No, you can't. You got to take 5. You got to take 10. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, there is a thing. I get where you're coming from on that. I'm not really. I haven't dug deep enough to know how well I really like the new mission rules and whatnot. I'm still trying to absorb everything. I have watched so much YouTube over the last week. The amount of Tactical Tortoise and Art of War and Auspex Tactics and Vanguard Tactics, and the amount of big name channels that I've watched. And the problem is that I mean, there are people you kind of hold higher because you know they understand the game better. Like when it comes down to it, whatever I hear as a final word from like Art of War, I'm gonna kind of take them at that point of value because those guys know their stuff, you know. But the problem is, if you don't look at like somebody like that, if you look at the guys that are all, you know, instead of S tier, if you're looking at all the A tier guys, none of them agree with each other on a damn thing. Like, Vanguard Tactics is on this thing that the Death Guard are fine as designed. They're designed to be the best all-rounder army. They're a nice all-rounder army. And anybody who plays Death Guard is going, 1, no, they're not. And 2, no, they're not. And 3, that's not what Death Guard are supposed to do. There are other armies they made very, very flavorful. And the Death Guard, they gave them a piece of their flavor and then took away everything else about their flavor and then sprinkled it on a half dozen other armies. It's just like, that's supposed to be our thing. You guys took it away from us and you refused to give it back. Well, they're very survivable. No, they're not. They died of small arms fire. I thought they were going to be fine. Single damage weapons, because they've clarified you cannot reduce damage below 1. They did clarify that in the designer notes. So 1 damage weapons, just like they were in 9th, in the latter half of 9th, they're going to be the death of the Death Guard. Because you're just fishing for 6s and 1s. You're fishing for 6s and 2s. I get a 6 auto wound. Go ahead, make your saves. I fail a save. That's a wound. 2 of those, guys gone. That's it. I don't care. I don't care about the fact that they're really high toughness. The fact that if I put volume of fire into them, they just die. And I could put that same volume of fire into another unit, into a lesser toughness army, but that lesser toughness army has feel no pains, and more of them will survive. And it is what it is. Let me see where we go. Yeah, you can take them. Exactly. You obviously can take them. But I mean, if I take an impulsor, I can fit Ragnar and 5 other guys in there. I liked taking Ragnar and 5 Blade Guard. You can't do that. Well, you can, but I got to pay for 6 Blade Guard. I'm paying for 6 Blade Guard, but I'm only getting 5. Blade Guard are expensive. So I'm going to pay for 3, and I'm going to put a Blade Guard Ancient in that because Blade Guard Ancients are actually pretty good for what they do for the unit. So, hey, now I'm doing that. They're one of the few units you can have a double leader in. And Ragnar does something really good to the whole unit, which is fine, but it's still kind of like, I want to be able to take 5. I want the Impulsor to be able to sit more than 6. Like, give the Impulsor 7. But no, because they want you to put a team of 5 and 1 in there. So I could take 5, I don't know, what do you call it? I could take Assault Intercessors and Rags and run out there. But I really want those Blade Guard because I got a decent freaking weapon. So we got to figure that out. You played 5 games, you hit how you play the missions, yeah. Yeah, you thought people would make it 0 is mind-boggling. It's mind-boggling to me too, but because it wasn't specifically lined out, Knox, you know as well as I do. In the minds of competitive players, you know this as well as I do. if there's a way to break the game and they don't specifically say you can't do this, they say you can. It's not spirit of the rules, it's the letter of the rules. That's what matters. The word of the rules. What does the wording say? Exactly. Not the intent. It's what does it say? How many arguments did that cause? It's like, that's not what they meant, but that's what they said. There were dumb things in the very beginning of Ninth that were arguments over that. And that's why you're playing 18 Wardens. It's just, I really want to swing some wolves at you. I want to see what that does, just because it sounds hilarious to me. It sounds freaking hilarious to me. I just, it's so silly. I want to swing that at you and see how that works. Yeah, we got to get together and throw some dice, man. Maybe we got to, I can't on Thursdays anymore, but that's another thing. I'm running a game on Thursdays. I'm actually running a role-playing game on Thursdays. Oh my God, head exploding. I'm running Shadowrun starting on Thursday. Back to role-playing games. It's amazing. So we'll probably have some time devoted to that in future shows where we get back to kind of talking about terrain and stuff and terrain rules when you're playing role-playing games, because that is what started this channel, and I want to get back to, because we are all-around gaming. We've just been so 40K for so long, we forgot about some of this stuff, and I want to get into doing that, especially for something like Shadowrun, because cars and vehicles and jumping over vehicles and shooting from buildings and jumping off of balconies and hanging off a drone and firing randomly. This is gonna be fun. We're gonna have a good time. I try to make my games highly cinematic. So if you've already watched Edge Runners, you kind of know how my game's gonna run. Yeah, it's gonna be a lot of interesting. Cyberpunk is my genre of choice, so Edge Runners will be a thing. A lot of my inspiration for the feel of my game will come from Edge Runners. Again, because we're a gaming channel, even though it's a video game. If you do not play Shadowrun, or Cyberpunk 2077, you need to get it. You need to get a machine that can handle it, and you need to play it. Oh my gosh, the game is so good. It is such a good game. Oh my God, so good. Yes, when it came out, it sucked because it had all these freaking problems. It was laggy and it had glitches and blah, 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 blah. Oh my gosh. Mythos, I'm telling you, that game is fan-freaking-tastic. It is so good. And I'll tell you, it is such a good game. Like a lot of games, I get a little bit in the way into them. I'll start looking up for hints and cheats and how do I get around this? How do I do this mission? No. I'm running blind. I'm like, what do I do next? Let's check my mission log. This guy wants to do that? Fine, let's go there. Oh, these guys are too big. Well, whatever. Bring out the freaking sniper rifle. Let's get rid of them. And whatever, man. Let's just go. Let's go. And it's how Shadowrun should be. It's how Cyberpunk should be run. It should just be like running on the edge of your seat, on the edge of your pants, about to have your ass fall off until you make it. Fake it till you make it, baby. It makes me wish there was a tactical miniatures war game set in a cyberpunk setting. There used to be one. Actually, FASA, the makers of Shadowrun, had one. It was called DMV. The DMZ, the demilitarized. Was it DMZ? Not demilitarized, downtown militarized zone. And it was basically a Go Gang versus Go Gang and other type of, other gangers. But basically it was a gang on gang. A lot like Necromunda, but with a cyberpunk flair. I suppose Necromunda could be seen as a cyberpunk flair if you played it that way. But I think it's a lot more dark and disturbing than cyberpunk is. But you could definitely play it with a nice cyberpunk aesthetic to it if you have the terrain built for it. Yeah. Oh. Yeah, I'm looking at like 40K, and I'm like, I'm loving it. I'm loving it. I'm loving the energy I have towards playing my wolves again. The more I read on my wolves, and the more I read people reviewing them, and the more I talk about them, there are a couple things that become very clear. There are a couple things that become very clear. One, people are hype on wolves because the wolves have some of the best relics for Marines. They have some unique units with some unique abilities and some of the best characters, which is a strong thing in 10th. They probably have the best specific all-rounder stratagems for any of the Marines and possibly in the game. They've got apparently their stratagems are really suitable for an all-rounder army, which is what the Wolves are supposed to be. Marines are supposed to be an elite all-rounders. They're supposed to be an all-comers type army, which is really cool to see. Do they have a weakness? Art, my man Art. Yeah, we're going to Diablo. You know, I didn't get Diablo because I was going to get Diablo 4. I was really going to get, because I love Diablo. I purposely did not get it because I knew everything that was happening this time of year was just going to destroy all my free time. And I'm like, I don't have time for that right now. I'll wait till this winter. I'll get it when it's on sale, when they do their late fall sale for Blizzard, and I'll buy it then. Ben, look here, you. No, their real weakness is the fact that they're still, in the end, Marines. So they don't have very many units that do a lot of melee damage, and they don't have the best average shooting. Now, when I say average shooting, I mean, look at Tau. Tau have long range, high strength, good guns. Bolters suck. They suck. End of sentence. Do we have bigger guns? Yes, we have bigger guns. But the average gun we put on a dude sucks. Strength 4, no AP, 1 damage. So you're not using it on hard targets. And the problem is it's very easy to tell when a unit is designed for. That's the other thing. They very partition things out. This unit is anti-tank. This unit is anti-infantry. This unit is this. They're an all-comers army, but they're an all-comers because of the diversity of the number of units they have. And they've also got a lot of units. You're like, what the hell is this thing's job supposed to be? Like, there's a lot of units that I look at it was really funny looking over the Marines cards again and looking at all these different units and going, what the hell is this thing supposed to do? The other thing that's also become very, very clear to me, Mr. Fish, good to see you. Good to see you. The one thing that also became very clear to me, if you're a fan, you're a fan, but I'm going to tell you right now, Lost Bell of Souls is literally a pit of nothing. There's literally their articles on, hey, here's a faction focus. What? Their faction focuses, their informational, their educational viewpoints are just like, what am I reading? This is like, what? They had an idea for an army. Here's a really great combination for an army for you to play for Space Wolves. You take Ragnar, you take 4 sets of intercessors, and 2 Thunderwolf cavalry. There's your army. First off, no. Second of all, why? What are you doing? What? Out of everything, yes, Ragnar is definitely a must-take. Ragnar is I don't care what else you have in your army. You're putting Ragnar into a unit that's going to go beat the hell. It is going to beat somebody to death. Ragnar is an absolute, my brother, my lovely big brother. I love you, man. Everybody, give my brother some love. I love this man. if you're playing Wolves, Ragnar is a must-take. There is nowhere in the world that you can go, I don't know. I'm sorry. If you take Ragnar, his ability to first attach unit that gives him advance and charge, which is great. The fact that on a charge, he is swinging a strength 8 weapon 10 times, hitting on 2s with 3 AP and 3 damage. 10 attacks, strength 8 on a charge. Wow. That's him going, hey, I need to get a saga done. Where's the closest character I can get to? We're going to charge up. Oh, I'm going to use my stratagem that you and I are going to duel. You're dead. Done. I just completed a saga. He is going to be just dumb on the field, and I'm going to love it. He's only 1. That's the beautiful thing. He's unique. But he's going to brutalize somebody. He's going to walk up to a unit of anything and go, hi, this is my beat stick. Daka, 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 daka. You're all dead. I just killed 10 of you. Or you have multiple wounds. I just killed 5 of you without question. I killed 5 4-wound characters. Oh, you got invulns. Oh, you might save a couple. By the way, I just brought these 10 guys with me, and they're all taking attacks now, too. Hi. How you doing? It's going to be fun. It's going to be a good time. There are some great buffs in their characters. So, yeah. So, here's the other thing. The other half. I want to first talk, because you guys know that I have some friends in the industry and some friends in the business, some friends that run stores. I work for a store that's in competition with one of my friends' stores, so I try to split my money between the two. The store I work at, because it has been in existence for close to 25, 30 years, so they're kind of seen as an elder in the community, and they've been around for a long time, and they've got all their distributors, and they got all their good stuff, and they got all their stuff, and they got all their ducks in a row, and they have their everything. They are getting a lot of copies of Leviathan. A lot of copies. When Indomitus came out, there was only 2 stores at that time that they had. They didn't have a 3rd store yet. They sold out of the store 200 copies of Indomitus. 200 copies. They have 3 stores now. So they were given an allotment that will not be as much they had for Indomitus, but it's still going to be a really good amount. There is probably as much as if more hype than for 10th than there is for 9th. And 9th was super hyped. So we're not expecting our copies to last through the weekend. Now, the bad side. Because they printed what they printed and they made it clear they're not printing another copy. They're not doing the print to order that they did for Indomitus. They're doing a limited run. It was bigger than the initial limited run of Indomitus, but that's it. And they put in some stuff to stop with the the eBaying and the second market and all that. They did some stuff. They put some stuff in place. They limited how many copies you could buy online. They did lots of stuff. And still, a lot of people didn't get copies. So in the end, they had to cut some stores' allotments. I've heard of stores that had their allotments up until yesterday and then got told you're not getting any. And then I look at my buddies at Warp Storm, and they wanted to give us copies. And Warp Storm was given, and they're a big store. I mean, let's be honest, they're a big store. They're not like a little operation. They're a nice sized, big store, big play area. They've got a couple players that work out of that store that are nationally ranked. One of the owners is a nationally ranked player for Grey Knights. I mean, it's ridiculous. And they gave him three freaking copies. 3. How do you justify giving a store that's a big operation that sells a lot of... How do you justify a store that's that big, that sells a lot of product, that moves a lot of product? How do you justify giving them 3 copies? When you've got stores that, there was a picture that went viral today. Somebody put it on either Instagram or TikTok or something, where they got so many copies into their one location store that they literally built a throne out of them. They had 209 copies. That's messed up. And this is probably going to get, if GW monitored my shit, which they don't because I'm small. Unlike my guys at Frost and Fist, congratulations on 1,000 subscribers, Mythos. I am so proud of you, man. You're amazing. I'm still struggling to get over that 700 mark. But the fact that they're just down the street, literally down the street from a GW owned emplacement store, I honestly gotta wonder how much did that play into the reasoning that they didn't get an allotment. If they're getting through a distributor, okay, then I'm just tinfoil hat time. But if they're ordering them directly from GW and GW went, you can have 3 copies, that tells me GW's like, oh, no, you're right down the block from our store. We're going to give them to our store, not you. And that's messed up. GW having their own stores in the midst of the hobby industry. They're the only freaking gaming company that does that. And part of me thinks it's cool because there's the GW way. There's a GW painting method, which it will teach you there. The GW building method, which it will teach you there. The GW play method, which it will teach you there. But except for a few managers that are just trying to drive a few sales and are really big-time lovers of the game, they don't have events. That's a showroom. You don't go there. You don't go to a GW to play games. You go to a GW to go to a showroom and order the shit you can't get at your LGS because it's a specialty item. I make it a point not to. And I gotta say, I really like the manager of both the local GWs that are in my area, because there's 2. There's one in West Bend, which is about a 40 minute, 5-minute drive from me, which is about the same as it is to me to get deep south side to get to the one on there. I live on deep end of one end of the city. I'm basically equidistant between the 2 stores. I go when I can't get it. When I can't get what I need at a regular GW or at a regular LGS, and I know that GW has it in stock. If I need it right away, I'll go there. But I really try not to. I would rather anytime give my money to an LGS. Because the LGSs are what keep a community going. And I look at the other game companies. I look at like Wizards of the Coast. I mean, imagine a store that only sold Wizards of the Coast games. Oh, that's a lot of board games because that's everything from Hasbro. That's everything from Parker Brothers, Milton Bradley. That's everything from TSR, all the D&D stuff forever, all the licensed D&D paints and figures that are done through WizKids, and then Magic the Gathering. I mean, you could build a full store with a different variety of games if Hasbro / Wizards of the Coast open their own stores, but they don't. They have a web interface. They sell their stuff. They let other people handle their sales. You look at Mantic. Mantic's got a couple games. They sell them to third parties. Warlord. They got a bunch of different games. They sell them to third parties. No other gaming company maintains their own stores to that level. I don't have a problem with GW as a business, but I have a problem with GW as a business. And I'm in a weird position because I love their products. Everybody knows I'm a Warhammer fanboy. Everybody knows it. I like GW paints. I like GW glues, usually. As time goes on, I'm finding myself using more and more third-party products. And it's not out of a hatred of GW, because I don't hate GW. I love GW. I love their game. I love their lore. I love their models. I love what they do as a game. I just look at how some of their business practices just take small businesses, because every gaming store, except for a very few, are small family-run businesses. And they take these small businesses and hold them over a barrel and then still screw them. Final Fantasy 16 demo. Yeah. So, if I can say anything to GW, it could be like, LGSs are your lifeblood. It's not your corporate stores that keep your game going. Your corporate stores make you the highest profit margin to a point. You still got to pay rent. You still got to pay an employee. You still got to pay your benefits. You still have to pay your utilities and for that building. So you're paying all that to have a showroom that basically people come in, order stuff, and leave. I mean, you're making your money. But at an LGS, people build communities. And at LGS, they build a community of people that play together and expand their group. I look at Mr. Ben and Miss Tina and my buddy Max. Now, Ben and Tina were the exception to the rule. When there was no other real game store around that we could do this at, they started really making the community at that GW be community-like. They really got people to come together and play together and do fun things together. And GW has good benefits, dude. I almost got a job with them. GW has a good benefits package. Don't think they don't. I will be honest, they take care of their employees. No lie there. Yeah, some of their stuff is kind of shady, but they take care of their employees. And if somebody says they don't, I'd be interested to know on what basis that is. Because I've talked to people, I've looked at the benefits package, I've worked in the industry. They take care of their employees. Tina and Ben were one of the biggest reasons, honestly, and I say this unabashedly. Tina and Ben were one of the big reasons I got back into 40K. I was going there. I was thinking about painting. I wanted to fool around with it a little bit. It looked fun. And then the first time I was there, I met them and I met my man, Antonio. And the three of them, like, won me over that first time to the point where I brought the Hobbit with me, or the Halfling with me. Not my wife, but the other person that was in the very beginning of this channel was the other person that helped me with this channel. And since most of you already know, it's my ex-wife. But I brought her with me, and Antonio, like, basically dismissed me and took her around and had her pick stuff out and talk to her about what she liked, what she was interested in, what she was into. And that was the beautiful thing, because he made it clear, you know what you like, get out of here. Let me talk to her and see what she's into. And it wasn't a sales pitch. It was a understanding who she was. And it was great. And Ben and Tina were amazing. They put together a great community. I still commend Ben for putting together one of the best kill team tournaments I've ever been in. And it was fun and it was hilarious. And Tina and Ben put together a great Age of Sigmar campaign that I was unfortunately unable to play very much of, but the stuff I was a lot of fun. And they built this community. And when GW was like, no, they immediately found someplace else to make this community. And that community blossomed and blew up. And it went from 3, 4, 5 people to a couple dozen, to a couple score. And it became this thing, and it took on a life, and it's a large, large group of people. It became a full-blown community. And then when they had to move to a different location, they took that community with them, and it's blown up even bigger. And they reached out to other communities in that in-between, and now other communities, the Madison community, the Chicago community, the Green Bay, the Oshkosh community. We've got interlinking between all these different communities, and we've grown into something really big. And then I look at that, and I look at, that's just the gaming portion of it. I look at, I took 40K, and I reached out to other channels. Got Frost and Fist. We've got the Miniatures Paintbrush. We've got Winter's SEO. People I talked to, Dana Howell, Guy at Midwinter Minis, Brent at Goobertown Hobbies. These are people I've had conversations with. Uncle Adam over at Tabletop Minions. People I talk to on a regular basis. eBay Miniature Rescues. It's amazing to watch this community grow, both online and in person. But it's not because of the GW stores. And I think the GW stores take away from that because they don't really have organized play there. They don't really have great casual play there. They have some, but it's very insular. It's like, me and a buddy are going to go there and we're going to play. And while we're playing, nobody bothers us. Nobody talks to us. Nobody interacts with us because we're playing our game, and then we're going to leave. And that's always the feeling I had at that place. Unless it was a group of us going, we're going to all go here and do this together. If I went with somebody there and I played, the store manager might come over and talk to us, but not a lot of other people did. They come over, they look until they knew us. I've gone into stores where people are playing, and I didn't know them. I didn't know who they were, but I saw a figure. I was like, that's really cool. Hey, that's pretty cool. And I ended up making friends with these people. I've gotten dragged into other miniature games that I've never thought about playing because I was talking with somebody about a cool paint job. I'm like, yeah, this for this game. Hey, you should try it. You want to see what we're doing? And they teach me the game while I'm right there. I'm like, holy crap. It's crazy because it's not the community that GW creates in their stores. Their stores create a come in, buy our shit, get out. And to say that I'm exaggerating the point, I can know I'm not because literally one of their ex-managers told me that's basically what they're taught in their management. Come in, buy your stuff, show them more stuff to buy, show them stuff that goes with it, get them to buy some accessories, and then when they're done, let them go. Camera's pointed directly back, Lady D. Nobody will see you. Lady D is not feeling very well. She has had a headache for the last day she can't get rid of. Her head is about to explode. It depends on the story and stuff. I would agree to a point. It's interesting because I look at, like, it's weird. Like, I've gone into GWs to talk to people I didn't know. Like, I've been in the GW in the south side of Milwaukee when I was, like, people I knew, and I could talk to them, and it was cool. And I'd go over, hey, there's people I don't know playing a game, and I'd go over and, like, watch them for a bit and ask them questions, and like, okay, leave us alone, we're playing. All right, and they don't say it, but that's kind of the attitude they have. I do the same thing. I go up to the GW in West Bend, and, like, looking at figures. They have a really tiny play area there, but I mean, I'm talking with the manager, and he's kind of a big paint nut, which is kind of cool. We're talking about stuff, and then I talk to, like, some guy walks in. We're looking at the same stuff. I say a couple words, and and they gotta go. But I go to, say, Game Universe in Franklin. I walk in there once, and there's a bunch of guys playing a game. I don't even know the game, but I recognize the figures you're using because it's a World War II game, and I know what kind of tank that is. And so I know it's a World War II tank and a game, and I'm like, hey, I know that tank. Hey, and so I'm like, hey, what game is this? And not only did the two guys playing the game stop, they pick up their figures, they start talking to me, they show me the game, they show me the figures, they show me the stats. The guy that's kind of helping organize thing comes over, and he starts showing me the game, and he's like, you guys go, and he takes me to a different game where they're playing different figures in a different scenario, and he starts showing, and it's just like, wow, this is a community that's really inviting. It's not even my game, and they've got me interested. Or I walk over to a 40K game in Brookfield, and I walk up to a game, and they're like, hey, you guys playing 40K? And they're just like, hey, man, how you doing? Blah, blah, blah. I don't know these guys, but they're acting like they've known me forever because they've got a community mindset because they're in a LGS looking for other players to play with them on a regular basis. They don't just want the two of them. I've made instant friends with people over 40K. Like, I was at a job once. I was working at a financial place downtown, and I was going to be there on a long-term contract. So we, make the cube look a little nice. And I put a little Space Marine up in my cube. And I had one guy come up and say, hey, you play 40K? I'm like, I do. And he and I have been friends for like 5 years now because of this. We haven't worked together in like 3.5 years, but you're like, hey, we're gonna do some 40K this weekend. You up for it? And we're gonna do everything. Blah, 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 and we do stuff over the idea of building a community over 40K. And like I said, that's the big thing. And it's everybody that I've talked to at length about it has kind of noticed it. And like I said, it was a GW manager that kind of confirmed that it was like part of their training was teaching their managers to bring them in, get them engaged, get them to buy stuff, get them to commit to more stuff, get them to come back to do this, that, and the other thing, and then get them. And exactly, that's the biggest thing. That's the biggest thing, Dice. I used to work for Wizards of the Coast. And I've talked about that before. I worked for Wizards of the Coast as a delegate. And basically my job was to go into game stores and the LGSs, talk to them about our product, talk to the owners and the managers about our product, see what I can do for them to help them with our product, and maybe help them get some organized play going, and then help them with their sales. Like, hey, if you guys do this, Hey, you buy like 5 packs of Magic or 4 packs of Magic, I'll throw a pack of, I'll throw an extra pack in. You buy one of these books, I'll throw an extra book in. Hey, we're gonna play a game of this. Whoever wins the game, you get to keep this copy of the game. Blah blah. I mean, that was the stuff I did at this part of being part of their marketing team, teaching people to play games and teaching people to run games and teaching people to organize play and how they can do and become a judge for Magic and all this stuff, and teaching that. And it was funny because the biggest rule we kept coming back with was make sure the store sees our product as a net positive for them. They should desire to have our product because they will run events that will move product back off the shelves. It's always been their goal. When I was part of that marketing team, that was something we had to go back to the sales team and say, you need to stop doing X, Y, and Z because you're hurting our ability to bring product and move product out. If you put stuff on pre-sale on our website 2 weeks before the stores can order it, or if you put stuff exclusively on our store for a full week before the stores can sell it, then people are going to order it through us. Yes, we'll make a better profit margin, but then the stores aren't going to order it, and we're going to get a lower resale option. We're not going to get those sales later because they're not going to have confidence in us. And we kept pushing them back on that. Stop selling things at a discount that the stores can't sell them at. Stop putting products in bundles and then say, hey, buy this and we won't charge you shipping and we'll overnight it to you so they don't need to go to the LGS. If they're not going to the LGS, you don't have a community. If you don't have a community, the game dies. Look at what happened at the end of 3.5 D&D to 4th. Literally, D&D started to go back into a huge, steep decline because even though they had blown the market up with 3.5, because of some of their predatory practices on how they sold their product, they were losing players to online gaming because it was more accessible than getting people together because they didn't need to get together. And why would you go to the store? If I want the stuff, I'll just get it online. To get that through our marketing team, from our marketing team to the sales team, was impossible. One of the reasons I ended up leaving working for Wizards of the Coast. Because they wanted more and more out of us, out of the marketing team, but weren't willing to take anything we gave them in advice off. And when the entire program fell apart, then they realized, and sales bottomed out. And we don't have people on the street. And, we need to figure this out. And they completely revamped how they do their practices. And it was great to see. It was great to see that they were trying to do something to try and get those players back. And they really bent over backwards to lean into D&D's popularity and to make D&D more accessible and to make it. It was great to see. But it was one of those, really? We've been telling you this for 7 years. And now you're going to finally do it after the whole department gave up on you. Oh, that is terrible, Dice. That's really terrible for the LGS to do that because, I'm not going to say every LGS has been great. I have been to a couple of LGSs that I had a bad experience at. And when I was working for Wizards, it was one of those things, it was my job to kind of go, well, here's the deal. Yeah, this is the problem, and I'd like you to address it. And if you can, I'll do more to help you out. But if you can't address these kind of issues, I'm not going to come back and waste my time here. But then there have been times as a gamer I've been there and seen stuff, and it was really crazy. There was one gaming store that was kind of tucked out of the way, really hard to get to, unless you had your, if you're a 20-year-old that takes the bus a lot of places, it was hard to get there because it wasn't anywhere near most bus lines. And be honest, when I was in my early 20s in this city, buses were the way to get around because it was too expensive to own a car in the early 90s. It just was dumb. But I got out there a couple times. And you know who else played there? Because the store owner didn't care? Nazis. People talk about, oh, there really aren't Nazis playing, Warhammer. Yeah, there are, and I've met a couple. And it scared the crap out of me and made me just, I'm done. I'm leaving. I'm going to get out of here when I realized what I was dealing with. But one guy I'd been playing with, he had seemed nice, and I hadn't thought of it, hadn't done a thing. When his two buddies came in, I was like, oh my goodness. You hear about it, you think it's a myth, but no, it really happened. I was just like, that's disgusting. And the store tolerated it because these guys were regulars and they paid a lot of money and bought a lot of stuff in that store, and that's all they cared about. And they would trash talk they would literally, the owner would trash talk every other gaming store in town for X, Y, and Z. And it's just like, dude, I understand you're their competition, but you're trash talking them? Come on. Nobody's trash talking you. Yeah, it does take off. The problem is, to be honest with you, Dice, here's the thing. I was a kid in the 80s. I was part of the punk scene. There's a rule in punk clubs. Never let the Nazis feel comfortable. Never let them feel comfortable. Because if they're comfortable, they'll stay, and the next time they come, they'll bring two of their friends with them. And once you get 2 or 3 coming in a regular, you go from being known as a punk bar or a punk club to a Nazi club. And then nobody wants to be part of that. I had a friend who was a longtime bartender and a longtime bouncer at a very famous punk club here in town called the Unicorn. And he was the one that taught me that. I was a very impressionable young teenager that was really into surf punk and into thrash punk. And I would go to their all ages shows, and he was adamant, like, no. You come in wearing any sort of Nazi memorabilia, you're out. You come in wearing any type of Nazi symbol, you're out. You openly wear any Nazi tattoos, you're out. You're done. You're not allowed. It's not allowed. It's a private establishment. I can make whatever choices I want. You're out. And he was the one who told me that. It's like, never let one feel comfortable, because if one's comfortable, he'll bring 2 friends next time. You just don't do it. And the problem is the same thing happens in a gaming club. One guy came in, he was okay to be that way. He brought 2 buddies with him, and then I come to find out, like, 5 or 6 of the major 40K players, all at that one store, were all okay with it. And I was like, no, I'm never coming back here again. And I'm not going to continue. I'm not going to invite them over to the 2 stores I play at, because I don't want to have anything to do with these guys. I don't want to have any fun with them. I can't have any fun with them. They disgust me. So, yeah. An LGS community, you need a community, but you need to be a fun community. And you got to take care of each other. And that goes back to GW not being a community store. It's a showroom. I can't even claim that as my own quote. That comes from, again, a manager I knew. It's a showroom. We're going to show off our shiny product. Why do you think they have those super uberly cool painted, custom painted Marines and the box art level painted figures in the window, in the cases, in that there? Why do you think they put all of their managers through like a 2-month painting course so they can literally paint them just like the videos, so they look pristine and clean and perfect and beautiful? So the ones that they can teach it, and 2, so they can take those miniatures, paint them, put them in the window, and everybody goes, "Oh, those are cool. I want that." And I learned how to paint miniatures. I learned how to paint miniatures by watching pictures in a White Dwarf magazine and a booklet that Ralph Partha put out in like 85, maybe even like 84 or 85. They put out a booklet, how to paint your D&D figures. And that was where I learned how to paint. I mean, oh, God, I miss Ralph Partha. I wish Ralph Partha, I know they still exist in Europe. I wish Ralph Partha still existed better in the States. You get their paints, because they had some great paint colors. They had some of the coolest effects paint you could get. They had these wonderful like opalescent paints that they had like little flake in. They had some really good pastels. I had an entire high elf army painted using Ralpartha's powder blue, and then it was white powder, the Ralpartha powder blue, and then Ralpartha's I forget what their really bright blue was, but it was like this, like a level of this blue, like the flat blue, but like crank it up like 2 or 3 now. It was like this really like almost like a gem colored blue, just really amazing. And I loved Ralpartha paints. I really loved their stuff. You could buy them singly. They had these wonderful theme packs that you get 8 paints, and they were always in a theme. These are pastels. These are our chromatics. These are our metallics. Great stuff. I really, really miss Ralpartha. I wish they were still in the States. I'm going to say that a couple more times, probably. The other reason is because Citadel paints were great, but the Citadel pots were half the size of Ralpartha pots, even back then. The Ralpartha pots were, I mean, when the GW pots, if they were equivalent to this size, the Ralpartha pots were like this size. They were like this size, maybe a little bigger. Screw off, they're perfectly round with the screw off flat tops. And they were wide. You never had to worry about one tipping over because they were like almost as wide as they were tall. So yeah, I'm excited for 10. As you can, if you couldn't tell, painting, building, trying to get through more and more and more of my backlog. I'm looking at my backlog up there. I got to get through it because I want to start. What do you want? Monster dog. Anybody want a dog? Does anybody looking to get a dog? He's a good dog. He's a very good pupperdoodle. He's a great pupperdoodle. He just hates cats, and I have cats. And so he tries to murder the cats. And that's not good. So if anybody wants a cute dog, he's very cute. He's good with people, and he's very cuddly. Yes, you are, Logan. You are a cuddly dog. You're a good cuddly dog. You just suck with cats. All right, Dice. Be cool, man. Take care of yourself. We'll see you soon. Yeah, I want to get through this. I want to get some games of 40K in. I want to get back to Age of Sigmar. I want to get finished painting. I got to get through the stuff I'm in right now. I'm backlog. I will have a backlog till I'm dead. I'm convinced of it. I mean, I'm painting through figures quickly, and I still have more figures to go through. I have boxes still to go through, which is why Leviathan is probably my last purchase for the year. I don't see me buying anything else through the rest of the year as far as figures go. Paints, bits, stencils, other, hobby tools, but I don't see me buying any other figures through the end of the year. I appreciate it, Mythos. I appreciate all y'all. If y'all could throw me a thumbs up, I'd appreciate you so much. Let's give a quick shout out to all my lovely Patreon members. I have not had a chance to shout my people out in a while. I love you guys so much. You guys are awesome. You take care of me. You do me right. You do me great. And let's go. Come on, Patreon. You know who I am. I'm Big D, the Gamecraft Dragon. Let me give a quick shout out to my people. I've got my lovely membership. Let me look at my people here. My 5 current patrons. I'm down to 5. I understand that I am down to 5. But I still love all you so much. Still love my active people. I still love my inactive people too. I just want to let you know I do love y'all. Why did you make things so hard to see who my people are? Because they are my Battle Brother members. My lovely brother, Alex Drake, and the lovely Tina Kerskito. My Battle Leader member, Joe Bookish. And then, of course, the Commodore and the Pirate Phoenix, my 2 Warlord tier patrons. We're small, we're humble. We don't have a lot of patrons, but that's okay. I appreciate what you do. I appreciate you guys help me out. I appreciate you guys. You doing escalations? I want to do escalations. Yes, I actually want to do a Wing and an Age of Sigmar escalation. I actually almost like that more than a 40k escalation. But I gotta do. I mean, I gotta get some gaming in. I gotta throw some dice. I gotta throw some dice, my man. Problem is, my days of the week are limited. Like Thursdays, I'm gonna be running a Shadowrun role-playing game. Tuesdays, we do this. That leaves me Sundays. Like the one day a week I get to take care of things around the house, hang out with my wife, and I can probably game like that day. I can possibly do Saturday mornings as long as I can get out of where I'm at by 1 o'clock so I can go to work by 2. So I'm definitely interested. I gotta figure out how to make it work on my schedule. You want to be a street samurai with a guitar? That sounds awesome. That sounds really awesome. I love that idea, Ben. I think one of the coolest things I ever saw, I didn't run it in that game. I wasn't running that game. I saw somebody was streaming at one point a Shadowrun campaign where they were a Shadowrunning team, but the group was also a band, much like Johnny Silverhand out of 2077. So I think it's an interesting idea. 6-string samurai. I like the idea. Using that guitar like a melee weapon. Ah! Pull the neck out. It's actually a katana. Shing! Ah! Or it's literally an axe. I love that idea. We will have to talk about that because I think we can see some fun out of that. I love the idea. I really, really do. I really do. All right, my lovelies. I appreciate all you've done for me this evening. I appreciate you hanging out with me. I appreciate you coming by. I love y'all so much. When I get my box, I'm going to see if I can pop on, maybe open it up and show it to everybody while I'm looking at it. First time. I've already seen the inside of it because we have an open box at work. I mean, I already own a box of cards because I bought the extra box. I bought the cards in the box because we're just using the figures as a display piece. So let me know what you think. Let me know. Put something in the comments below. Hit me up on Discord. Hit me up on Facebook, Instagram, the whole 9 yards. You know where I am. You know who I am. I'm Big D, and game on.